So the thing about you is that God is actually working on you right now. But he's not just working on you to stop there. He's actually working on you so he can work through you. And when you get a hold of this, what's going to happen is you're going to find joy, you're going to find life, and you're going to find the purpose you've always been looking for. And now to build a groundwork for that, I want to ask this big question. Someone say, what's the big question? The big question is, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be? And now listen, I've been in your shoes. Like I remember what? I have no idea who I want to be. I'm like, that's like too far off, too much of a big question. So I'm going to make it easy for you. Check this out. Let me ask it like this. When you're not around, what do you want your friends, your family, your teachers, your classmates to say when someone asks them, what's Thomas like? What's Logan like? What's Eric like? What's Aaron like? What do you want them to say? I hope it's not just, oh man, he's nice, or she's cool, they're fun. Is that really it? I really hope it's not just that, G students. See, if you said, Thomas, who do you want to be? And I've been having some great devotional time with God. It's been amazing asking this question with God. Like, God, who do you want me to be? And what he's been saying is I want you to be after me, number one. That I would be the person you always say yes to, Thomas, no matter what's going on in your life, no matter what crazy thing I ask you to do. And the bigger question too, I've been saying, God, well, what about how do I act? And he's like, man, I want you to be generous. I've been so generous with you, I want you to be generous. So I asked this question to myself, and I said, man, if I'm gone one day or if I'm not in the room, I want people to say those things. I want them to say, man, Thomas, number one, he's after God. He's humble. He's a servant. He's generous. These are things that I'm coming to wrestling with. But I did want to just mention this. This is so good. This is so good. I heard it from a message, and it's blown me away. Who you are is not based on what you do. Who you are is not based on what you do. It doesn't make your cheerleader. I messed this up, varsity football captain. I was like, man, that's who I am. Totally got it wrong. Who you are is not based on what you do. Who you are is based on who Jesus is to you. This is where the good stuff comes. This is where the power in your life and the fun, and you get to get in the game. I mean, I hate being on the sidelines. I saw this picture. It was so funny. It was this big football player. I mean, I laughed my head off. He's in full pads, and there's a game going down on the field, and he's sitting in the stands. And the memes they made up were hilarious. I couldn't find it. I wanted to show you guys so bad. But here's what I got out of it. Is you don't want to be fully dressed up and then sit on the sidelines in the stands. That's boring. I want to be in the game, and I want to make a difference. This is who I am. This is who I want to be. But to do that, you have to ask yourself, who is Jesus to me? Who is Jesus to me? If I'm not based on what I do, if I'm based on who God is to me, who Jesus is to me, then what am I going to say to Jesus? And this is the choice. This is the choice you have. You get to choose today. Joshua 24. Put this verse up. This is so good. So in this context, you're always going to take the Bible in the context when you're reading it. You want to say to yourself, ask yourself, what's going on? What's this book about? What are the verses before and after? What are they saying? And what's the point? The point in this is Joshua, he just led the Israelites into the promised land. Someone say, come on. They've been waiting for 40 years. Man, I couldn't have patience like that. That's ridiculous. 40 years, but they finally made it in the promised land. Joshua led them in, and now he's getting ready to pass on and go on to be with God, and he's given this last bit of advice. He says this, but suppose you don't want to serve God. Here's the part, that's your choice. He says, then choose for yourselves right now who you will serve. He says, you can serve the gods of your ancestors east of the Euphrates. Basically what he's saying is, maybe your parents aren't even Christians, and they're like, maybe they're Buddhists or whatever. I mean, you could serve their gods, right? Or maybe they don't believe in God at all. They're just like, man, science is the only thing. By the way, science and the Bible go together. All right, just telling you that. Just cool mind-blowing thing. Here's the thing. And you could serve their gods. This was me. Maybe your dad's in the military, and you're like, I want to be in the military. I want to serve that God. You could serve that God. You can choose right now for that. Or the next verse says this, part of the verse. Or you can serve the gods of the Amorites. I mean, after all, you're living in the land. This is what he means. You're in the culture. You're in the year 2019 in Moore County. Your friends in school, they're following what they want to follow. Some might even say, man, God's not real. And you could follow their gods, the different rap artists, the different big name celebrities, and do what feels right. They'll serve that God. You could chase after that God. But here's what Joshua is saying to you. And he's saying to me, and he's saying to all of us, he says, I don't care what you do, because as for me and my family, we're going to make the right choice. We're going to serve God. the God who brought us out of Israel, or out of Egypt into Israel, who got us through the wilderness, who's taken care of us time after time again. He is more than faithful to give a purpose to our lives. They're saying, man, I've chosen for myself. And I want you guys to choose that too. There's a God who knows you better than you know yourself. And he loves you just the way he made you. I mean, this is mind-blowing to me, guys. And not only that, but he's actually chosen you, and he's chosen you to work on. See, here's the thing, G students. I thought about this. I'm like, man, when it comes to who I want to be, I can see that sideline thing. There's no pressure. Then I started thinking about it. You're not going to make a difference. See, I've decided, I don't want life to happen to me. I don't want to be that person that gets beat, like life hits me, and I'm like, all right, everything happens for a reason. All right, I'm just going to keep, making my own decisions and hope God picks up the mess, and when I hurt myself, hope he fixes me. Life just happens to me. No, G students, I want to be someone who happens to life. I'm going to make my choice. I'm going to serve a God who's actually active, is doing miracles and changing people's lives. Like, we're not going to get on the sidelines. You don't want to be someone life happens to. You want to be the one making the choice to serve a God who wants to happen to life. All right, and to speak about this, when it comes to this, I'm so excited. He kind of shouted out, one of the speakers will be coming up in a moment. But before I get her up here, this is really good, is when it comes to choosing who God wants you to be, sometimes you need a little gift. Like Jesus is a gift. So, like, one of my favorite gifts, gifts is a sign that someone loves you. I got a journal once, and it was mind-blowing. I got it from Grace Church, started writing in it the things God was telling me, because I was like, God, I got no idea. I got no idea who I want to be. God started speaking to me. Here's what I want you to be. His scripture, the Bible started opening up things like, dang, that's like exactly the question I'm asking. So I started writing them down. And man, I have a journal I still go back and read. Crazy. It's got so many answers from God. It's got so many mind-blowing things he did in my life that's like, and things he actually promised me he would do things and then did them. And it was so cool. So anyway, would anyone like a journal to be able to write down what God is saying to you? Anyone want one of these journals? I got one right here. Sophia, you want a journal? Here you go. Come on, Sophia. It's nice to give journals away, right? All right, anyway, moving along. Wait, does anyone else want a journal? All right, how about this? Because I actually love you guys, and I'll put my money where my mouth is. Jonathan and I will both do this. Why don't we give everyone here journals? Hey, Sophia, hold up the journal so everyone can see it. We got G student journals that say you will go after all that God has for your lives. I want everyone to grab a journal. We got these journals handed out. Round of applause for JT over here. JT's the man. Just hand out a stack of them. Let's go. Man, we love you guys. And if God is speaking to you, which I guarantee he is, you're going to want to write it down. Write it down. Get in that thing every day and write down what God is saying to you. Hey, and all you have to do is just give us $20 and we'll call it even. All right, so $20 per journal. If you've touched it, consider you've already bought it. So I need that money like right now. Nah, I'm just kidding. Again, it is totally on us. But hey, for that first thing I want you to write in your journal, I don't even want you to write your name. I want you to write this question because it's way more important than just the name you think you have. The question is, who is God calling you to be? Write it. Who is God calling me to be? I want you to write in your journal. Who is God calling me to be? That's way beyond your name. God can change your name. It's way more important you find out who is he calling you to be. And if it's a man of God, if it's a woman of God, then I want you to know this. That means you're someone God doesn't just work on. That means there's someone God is going to work through. He's not just going to work on you. He's going to work through you. You're not going to have life happen to you. You're going to happen to life. There's a joy that takes over every circumstance, every issue you might ever face. You'll happen to it, not it happen to you. So now to speak about how amazing it is that God is working on you as well as working through you, I want to invite up this amazing girl. She got a heart for you guys. She's been praying into this message for a while. She's a core team leader. She just graduated Union Pines. She's amazing. She's got a heart for worship. She's got a heart to see God his name raised high. Can I invite up the one and only Maddie Gomez? Come on, round of applause. And by the way, Maddie's birthday is this upcoming week. Ooh. Got my thing real quick.
Hey guys, So like Thomas said, my name is Maddie. Um, Yikes, that's so loud. My gosh. Um, so I'm super honored to be here, and then I was asked to speak. So I'm a little new at this, so if you guys could bear with me, that would be great. Show me some grace. Oh, thanks. Um, little backstory. I was homeschooled from second grade to halfway through fourth grade, which I don't think a lot of you guys knew that. Um, and I love being homeschooled. Really great. Got to stay home and chill with my mom. She's right there. Wow. Um, just being able, the whole vibe of being home and, spending time with my mom was really great. But my brother, who is, if you don't know him, somewhat of an overachiever, and he, came up to my mom and was like, yo, like, I'm not getting enough education. Like, I want more. I'm not being challenged enough. And, me, who's like, I love being home. I'm like, okay, bye. Like, go to school. Like, I was, expecting that I would stay home. He'd go to school. Um, that was not the case, however. Um, so we start looking into schools, and we find one. Um, and at this point, I'm totally like I'm fighting it. Like I am not digging it, not wanting to go. And I remember my mom telling me we started on a Thursday, so it was just Thursday and Friday that I had to go. And she was like, just go. Like if you like it, stay. If you don't, like you don't have to go back. So being in fourth grade, I'm like 10. And, already I'm thinking, okay, like I'm going to go and like I'm not going to like it, obviously. So I'm just going to tell her, I want to stay home, that I don't like it, right? Um, so I come home and, okay, so my first day of fourth grade, we had a timed multiplication test. And my mom, I don't know how to put this gently, she was very lax about how she taught us. And so I did not know how to multiply. Guys, like 4 times 1, I didn't know how to multiply. So my first day, I go in and we have maybe like 20, 30 problems. And so, it's time. She's like, okay, go. And I'm like, like, I don't know, and of course I'm not going to tell my teacher that I don't know how to do it. I begin, guys, I add on all of them because I don't know what else to do. I'm like, I don't want to hand in an empty sheet. Like, that's lame. So I add on all of them. And oh my gosh. So she's like grading papers, right? And she calls me out in front of everyone. Oh my gosh. Like, she just like calls me out. And, I'm like, okay. Like, she's like, didn't you learn this in fourth grade? And I'm like, oh, well, like, no, like, I'm in fourth grade still. And, like, I didn't learn this in third grade because, like, my mom was my teacher. And she didn't really teach me anything. So, like, love you, but like, you know, yikes. It's okay. It's okay. I know how to multiply now, which is all that matters. Um, like through the year, like, fourth grade is going, and my teacher just continuously calls me out on not being good at math. And you know that you all have one teacher, like you're probably thinking about a teacher right now that has like called you out or like that you just don't like because they're just mean. Um, well, um, and at first I was like, okay, like I don't know how to do it, but I'm here to learn, whatever. Um, I don't know if you guys did mental math, like if you guys had to do that. But it was like multiplying, like everything was about multiplying. And it was like, how many legs does, if one giraffe has 4 legs, how many does 6 have? And I'm like, I don't know, like, I don't, like, I'll add it up, I guess, real quick. And so, me already not knowing, you know, basic math, um, I really struggled with mental math, not being able to write it down and work it out. Um, so just, I just was called out constantly. Um, and that was super hard because my brother, on the other hand, is doing very well. He's uh, he's kind of social, but he does very well for himself in different situations. And so, I came home and cried every day after fourth grade. I hated it. Um, And, like telling my mom, like, like I don't want to go back to school. Like my teacher's so mean. Like I just don't want to be here. Um, I then, at 10 years old, felt like my opinion didn't matter. That, the fact that my brother wanted to go was valued more than the fact that I didn't. And that I was like really struggling. Um, and so that was just like a big theme through, you know, into high school. Just comparison with my brother. He he's pretty awesome if you guys don't know him. He does a lot of crazy things. He sets things on fire, blows things up. He's in the army now, which is super appropriate for where he should be. Um, but, at dinner parties, I'm here at G Students, I do worship. And so it's kind of like people that aren't Christians or people that, know me. They're like, oh, yeah, like, she goes to church all the time. She does, G Students and, whatnot. But my brother, he really was not that into church. So, for my parents to talk about him, it was really interesting. And they were like, oh, like, you have a brother? And, like, he does all this crazy stuff. And so, like, we're at a restaurant or, a dinner party. And, my parents, like, people are like, oh, how's your brother? And I'm like, he's great. Like, I'm okay, too. Like, I'm over here. Like, I graduated early and, like, I'm doing all this cool stuff. But, like, you don't really care. So that was something that I really struggled with. And, kind of, I remember specifically this girl, her name was Destiny. And, like, we're, like, good friends now. But she, I think we were, like, going to recess. I don't know. We were, like, going to recess or something. And we were all lined up at the door. And so at this point, like, I still hated fourth grade. Like, the whole, like, all of it. Like, I just did not like it. And so, people are, like, making jokes and, like, I don't know why I just did that. But people are, like, making jokes and laughing. And I'm just, like, waiting to go outside and, like, get away from everyone. And this girl looks at me and she's like, do you laugh? Like, do you talk ever? And, like, because I was so quiet. Like, I just, like, didn't say anything ever. And so I was like, didn't say anything to that, I just, like, didn't talk. Like, I don't know. I just, I didn't like where I was. And I didn't like the fact that I was forced to be there when I didn't want to be there. And, every day, like, my feelings were getting hurt by someone who was supposed to be teaching me. And so my teacher, years later, I make it through fourth grade, thank God. And I find out that while I was in fourth grade, my teacher's daughter was being harassed and just, like, rocks through her car windows and people were keying her car. It was so bad. And I think her daughter passed away. But, and it's like to think about that, the same time that she was, like, harassing me about math, something so much more serious was going on behind the scenes of her life, that I didn't know about. And, when I found this out, I was like, oh my gosh, like, even to someone that was so mean to me, like, that's awful. Like, I wouldn't want that to happen to anyone. And so it really gave me compassion for my teacher. And then, like, I kind of, like, saw her through, like, love goggles, like, through Jesus's eyes, and just compassion for her. And, of course, I forgave my teacher, and because now I'm good at math, but beside the point. So, and I know even, oh my gosh, even today, I know that there's moments where, my nanny kids are, like, throwing fits all day, and I get home, and my mom is like, oh, like, what do you want for dinner? And I'm like, I don't know, Mom, like, just stop, like, asking me all these questions. And I snap at my mom, and she literally did nothing. And so it's like, I know that we've all been there. We've all done that. And, to be on the other side when someone just, like, snaps at you, and you're like, I just asked, like, what you wanted for dinner. Like, can you calm down? So it's like having compassion for those people. And I know yesterday, I came in contact with a very angry driver. And, I just had to stop. They were, like, honking at me. And I was like, I'm going the speed limit. Like, can you, like, stop? And so it's like having compassion for them, even in those moments where you know that they're in the wrong, but you still have to forgive them and have compassion for them. So that's where I leave off. Or do I not give it
Oh, thank you, Maddie. Oh. Well, like Maddie was said, God is working on you. And sometimes and maybe having a little bit more grace for the people around you. I know I'm not the only one who blew up on my parents for just asking me about dinner or to do my homework. Man, your parents love you. Give them grace. And also, I just want to shout out, by the way, Miss Wendy being here. When I came on staff 3 years ago, she really kind of helped me navigate. I don't know if she knew it, but I watched her. She helped me kind of navigate some pitfalls I would have fallen into. She definitely taught me a lot, too, so it's good to have. Not math, but life skills that are very, very important. How to not get in trouble in your workplace. Good skills. Thank you, Wendy. I won't put my hand in your food ever again, I promise. All right? So God is working on you. Maddie got to realize this. God was working on her, and I want you to picture this for a moment, is that God chose you, and he loves you, and he's working on you. And sometimes it hurts, but it's worth it. I'll prove it to you. Check out this verse from Hebrews. Like I said, so when you look at the Bible, you want to always look at the context. What's the book about? Why was it written? Who's it written to? And look at the verses before and after. Now I'm going to condense that for you right now. Hebrews was written to church believers, to Christians who were beat up, they had the most painful situations of life. It would just hurt. They were beat up and bruised all over, and they couldn't see that God was working on them through all the pain, through all the teachers that were making your life like a living hell. Like God was working on them. So the writer is saying this to them. He's saying, or it could be a she. No one actually knows who the writer is. The Lord corrects the people he loves and disciplines those he calls his own. He loves you. Guys, G students, God specifically chose you, and he's working on you through all the junk, all the mishaps that happen in life. Every single bit of it, he's working on you. Now, Maddie went through all that junk, and God's using it and used it to work on her. But I know some people here, you might feel like you might be alone, but if you're going through some junk, if people are being bad to you or whatever's going in your life, will you just nod your head for me for a moment? See, I know you guys aren't alone. There's so many heads nodding around here. I want you to know that God loves you, and he's called you to be a part of this family at G Students. We want you to realize we're a family. That's why we're super excited for those tribe nights in May. They're going to be epic. We have some of the best things for you to build family here. Tribe nights are going to be crazy. High school girls, they're an extraordinary event. Middle school girls, middle school boys, high school boys, it's going to be epic. And speaking of epic, I have to shout this out. If I don't shout it out, I'm totally wrong. But EXP will blow your minds. Who went to EXP last year? Come on. Grab this card, bring it to your parents, sign up for EXP. It's going to be epic. I choose you for EXP. All right, I get to choose you. Yes, I choose you, Pikachu. Anyway, so the point is God is working on you. He chose you, but check this out. If you don't catch this, you've missed the point. I want you to listen real quick. Listen to this. God chose you, but why? Don't jump past this point. God chose you, but you have to wonder, why did God choose you? Was it just to fix you? Was it just to fix you? So God chose you to work on you. Was it just so you can carry all the same insecurities and shame and guilt that he died to take away? Why did God choose you to work on? Did he choose you so you can live just as selfishly as you lived the first half of your life, but this half you get to wear a cross around your neck? Like, why did God choose you? I'm going to tell you, G students, God has chosen you for way more. And if you just jump past the fact that he's chosen you and he's working on you, and you miss the purpose, then you've missed it. And this is why at G Students, we're going to tell you every single week, because we love you way too much to spare you from it, is that God has more for you. And we want you to go after all that God has for your life, and we never want you to settle. And this is why I'm telling you, don't miss the point. God chose you, yes, to work on you, but to work through you. Someone say, he's working through me. He is. And that's where the fun is. Like I said, I hate being on the sidelines. Don't be on the sidelines. It's boring. And here's the thing. You're not going to believe it, but I'm telling you, it goes by so fast. Someone snap your fingers. Middle school goes by. Snap your fingers again. High school goes by. If your middle school or high school was all about you, just about God working on you, everything happens for a reason, blah, 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 then at the end of your high school, at the end of your middle school, all you're going to have to show for it is yourself. All you're going to have to show for it is yourself. But if you follow what Hebrews is talking about, God has more. He's working on you because he has a better product at the end. You look at Joshua and says, God's chosen you for more. And will you choose him in return? At the end of your high school, at the end of your middle school, you will have more than just yourself to show for it. And I want to give my life for something more, and I know I'm not the only one. And so I just want to encourage you guys. Man, God loves you, and he's working on you, but the fun happens. Someone say that bring the fun. The fun happens when he works through you. The fun happens when he works through you. And to talk to you a little bit more about how God wants to work through you, I'm going to have Maddie come right back up.
All right. So I'm back. Is this on? I can't really. I can't. Okay. Cool. So at this point in my life, I'm a sophomore in high school. Um, made it through fourth grade. I forgave my teacher, but I still struggled a lot with comparison with my brother. I'm carrying that into my sophomore year. And so the summer before, I'm trying out for cheerleading again. And, I'm super excited. I'm really hoping to make varsity. So I'm practicing all summer. I'm like praying about it. Oh my gosh, guys. I'm praying so hard. Like, there's no way that I cannot make varsity, right? Like, this is a desire of my heart. Like, I really want it. So tryouts come. I do really well, but stunting, it's where you like lift people in the air, wasn't my strong suit. And so I did not make varsity, but I made junior varsity. And that sounds really great. But all my friends were on varsity. And so I only had one girl that was actually I'm like sitting in front of you. There's only one girl that was my age that was on junior varsity with me. And then there was one junior that actually made junior varsity. But so I was really disappointed, and I was like, okay, God, like, I kind of had like a come to Jesus meeting, and I was like, okay, like now I feel like I'm not good enough, and kind of like falling back into what the enemy rooted in fourth grade. Like, I was 10 years old, and already that insecurity was there, that I wasn't good enough, that I was like, okay, now like I'm overlooked again, so like I'm kind of just used to it at this point. But then the Lord kind of gives me a little slap, and a love slap, and he makes me realize that the coaches, they actually made me captain. And so like being put in this authority over 12 other girls, I could not have dreamed of a better sophomore year. It's probably my favorite year in high school, not gonna lie. Just the opportunity to pour into these girls and encourage them and be a godly role model was really amazing. But I also had to be spending time with the Lord, because I knew that these girls are looking up to me, and the things that I'm pouring into myself, I'm going to be pouring out. So if I'm not in my word, and I'm just not coming to church, not with godly friends, then if people are gossiping, I'll be like, oh, like, what are we talking about, guys? Like, and I'll want to join in. But instead, I joined core team. Caleb is not no longer with us. He didn't die. Yikes. Yikes. He's no longer over core team. But this was this was one of the moments where I felt known by the Lord. And like Caleb like chose me to be on core team, and I know there's a couple like original people on core team, which is really awesome. And so that was I was like, okay, like I was handpicked, and like being captain, I really saw the value in that, and I was like, I'm so valued and I'm so loved, and like they saw something in me that was leadership worthy, and trustworthy, and integrity. So it's really great. Something a little extra that the Lord gave me. So I mentioned that my strong suit was not stunting, and my freshman year, my tryouts were awful. Our stunt fell during our tryout, but I don't know what happened. I guess it was from CrossFit, but I gained arm muscle. Don't know how, but now I could lift people in the air and not, have them fall. So, my group that I was in, we were all really close friends, which really helped with communication because we could just, look at each other and, we knew what we were going to do, like the timing, like when we were going to do it. So we were the powerhouse group. And again, like it was just reinforcing, the Lord sees me, like he knows me. And, I have been practicing and like he knows that. And so, even the varsity girls are talking about our stunt group and just how awesome we are and how well we're doing. And so it was really awesome to be a part of an amazing team like that and to be hand chosen for that. And just the opportunity to be in leadership and to pour out into these girls was really amazing. And yeah, so there's that. Um, so I just want to ask you guys a question. Do you feel like if God fully knew you, that you wouldn't be loved, that he wouldn't love you? Because I know that I've been there, just with other people. I'm like, dang, like if they knew me, like I'm not that interesting. Like they're not going to want to be my friend. When it's like this secret sin that you guys do, that you haven't told anyone, your parents don't know, your friends don't know, God knows. He sees it. When he died on the cross, he knew that we were going to continue sinning. He already knew that, but he died anyways. Oh man, try not to cry. Thanks. He knew anyways. And it's like, how could we not live for him and use that for him? And it's like, I know that I've always wanted to be known, and not a prideful, like, look at me, like, just an acknowledgement that I'm there, like from friends and like, oh, like, hey, Maddie, like, how are you? Just something like that. I've always wanted to be known. And so, I remember the Lord, I can't remember exactly when it was, but it was during my sophomore year when the Lord told me, like, Madison, like, you're fully known and fully loved by me. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, that just, it doesn't even matter if anyone else knows me. Like, he knows me, he knows my heart. And, it's the little things that he does that, he knows that I love. Like, I love flowers. So if I see one or if someone gives me some, or like a sunset or whatever, don't discount the little things that the Lord does. Like he moves in the little too. Like it's not just like the big, like, oh, we're going to Disney World. Like, what a blessing. Like, yeah, that's awesome. But, it's the little things like going to the mall in Raleigh or, whatever. So just be on the lookout for those. I like to call them little kisses from the Lord. It's like, I see you. Like, I know your heart. Like, I know what you love. Like, here I am, like, I'm here. I love you. Like, remember me,